Welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream for December 22, 2020. Back with us, one of our all-time favorites, CloudMD, Dr. Issam Hamza, DOCRF, DOC. Issam, welcome back.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks for having us.
So again, for those of you who get it, we always have new people coming into our platform. So again, our focus with these live streams is to bring you those companies which we believe have that 10x to 100x upside potential. Companies going after multi-billion-dollar market opportunities with multiple catalysts in place and at a key inflection point. And CloudMD certainly fits that profile. So we're going to find out today about some of them. We're going to talk about Dr. Hamza. We're going to talk about some facets of the company which we haven't really had a chance to focus on yet, which is the health tech, the technology platform side. I think it's a key, very valuable part of the business, and and again, I think investors kind of need to know, like, what's CloudMD's role in that digital transformation of healthcare. That's the big theme: digital transformation of healthcare, massive theme right now. So with that said, you had an announcement recently. You're acquiring. Is it Idea4? What?
Yeah.
How do you pronounce
it? Exactly it? Yeah, so it's IDYA4 or Idea4.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was, it's so much. There's only so much you can put in a news release, and especially with something that might look like it's complicated but really isn't. But it was a massive announcement. I think it was very extremely important, and I don't think everybody really totally understood how big of an announcement it was, how big of an acquisition it was for our company. And how it's going to change things for everybody. And I'd love to talk more about that if you have any questions about it.
Of course, that's the whole idea, right? So and of course the audience is going to have a lot of questions. So that's what we want to do, because again, before we started the live stream, we were kind of talking in the background. You said, "Wow, this is a very transformation." You called it a transformational acquisition.
Absolutely.
And I don't think the market really understood, because there wasn't a big reaction. I mean, I know the stock has been creeping up, but there wasn't a big reaction when it was announced. So please explain, what does the company do? Why is it important? And what and how is it going to fit into CloudMD's big picture?
Yeah. So maybe let's start with the people. I mean, the people behind it are the most renowned and most respected people in that industry in the States, to the point where they have associations and contracts with the federal government there, right? The U.S. Department of Defense and Justice and CDC and Homeland Security and so on, even to a point where some of the founders were involved in some of the commissions after, like, the 9/11 and so on. The whole idea is that I said idea twice now. The whole concept basically is Idea has a platform, and they're experts in the ability to connect different data sources, right? Different software, different databases, and different different platforms to connect together and talk, right? And why that's important is, if you think about it, if somebody's using something and it's only working for their organization, but they need information from somewhere else, how do they get it, right? How do they talk to another database? So how does a clinic talk to a hospital or a radiology department? Or how does one clinic talk to another clinic in terms of that data? And I'll give you kind of a really high level example of something they actually do that is, again, really taking off for them. The doctors.
Dr. Hamza, you know what I should, let me just add, because for the investors in our audience, what they want to know is, what does this mean for the stock? So I think it's important for them to understand that you're solving a problem which is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. There's whole companies. I think it's like Workday, Palantir. There's multiple companies that are basically their whole business revolves around helping that connectivity, and there's so much multi-billion-dollar market cap. So
exactly, there's so much data out there, but how do you access it in a secure and safe way and be able to use it, right? So data is very, very valuable, but it's almost useless if it just sits there. And so they have the ability on their platform to start using data and getting corporations to able to access their data, analyze their data, share their data in a safe way, basically. And so, for example, like I said, a patient could go to a doctor and let's say ask for an opioid, a narcotic. And how does that doctor know that that patient didn't already get it from another clinic or a different county or somewhere else, right? And so this doctor shopping and opioid crisis exists because of the fact that nobody's talking to each other in the US in particular. And so a lot of these counties and states and organizations are paying IDEA considerable money for their platform that has the ability to connect all these different players. And so that at the doctor's fingertips, while they're seeing the patient, they go, oh, no, you already got it from so-and-so, right? So that information becomes instantaneously and securely delivered to a point where they can make a decision immediately. And that's extremely valuable. And not just that, and you'll notice this now with the government that was, but the government that's coming as well, is that it's going to be probably standardized where you have to, as a practitioner, you have to check these databases, right, before you give a narcotic, right? Because the opioid crisis is because of the fact that, let's say, doctors or patients are going around and getting it from different places.
Right. There's other pharmaceuticals, there's a lot of reasons why you want to have that connect. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. Okay, so you said something that's just okay. So it's very interesting because this is going to be something that you expect to become like something mandatory in the healthcare world.
100%. And the reason I say 100% is it's already mandated up here in Canada, in some parts of Canada. So, for instance, in British Columbia, we already have that. We already have kind of a province-wide database, and we can't give out, let's say, a narcotic until we check it to make sure that they didn't get it from somewhere else within the province. Now, they don't really have it between provinces, so theoretically, a patient could fly back and forth and get it from different parts. But eventually, it'll be nationwide, right? And that's the whole point of it: is how does the database here talk to another database somewhere else across Canada or whatever? They have the ability to connect them now, and we own IDEA now. And so IDEA is going to help us not only expand across the US side, but also Canada as well. So we're going to introduce their services and their software up here too. But more importantly, we've been growing very, very quickly, Jack, right? I mean, we bought a lot of different companies and have different technologies, and they're all amazing companies and successful in their own right. How do you start connecting all these, right? How do you do this? We've been doing it, but now we have experts in the field that are going to be able to do it for us much faster, much more securely with their platform, their proprietary platform. And so now can we start combining the Snap Clarity app with the CloudMD app, with the My Health S app, with the LifeCare app, and so on.
So once you have this kind of seamless turnkey, whole person healthcare solution, that becomes extremely valuable.
Yes.
As a business.
Yeah, absolutely. Because now the data can also be used and monetized in a safe way. Because that was always the big holy grail, but also the big issue is how do you do it? How do you use the data in a secure, safe way? And like I said, their proprietary platform will allow it. So that's extremely valuable, like you said before, right? And that's something, like I said, is I think not, to the point where if you look at our news release, Jack, I mean, it was the first time ever that we actually released the performance criteria for the seller to achieve the rest of their price, right? What they got paying for it, right?
Okay.
And so we showed that they have to go from, I think, a 4 million revenue to 6 million after 2021 to 8 million, 8.5 million, I think, for something for 2022. Those are conservative targets from their end. They think they're going to do much better than that. But we've never even released it because we thought, oh my God, that's so aggressive on their part. They're like, no, that's okay. We're good with it. So they're really confident just on their side of it that they're going to be able to increase the revenue considerably with these large contracts, again, with Homeland Security and CDC and so on. They're massive contracts and growing quickly at the state level as well as the federal level and so on. So that's great, but that's even without the synergy of everything they bring to us on all our other aspects of our company, from, like I said, increasing the revenue across the border to our other divisions and so on as well. So we're extremely excited, and I think it was a really great acquisition, and I have to commend our team that really got it across the finish line.
Okay, so so because this really ties everything in, ties all the facets of your technology, of the tech platform ties everything together. So that, that's kind of the finishing touch almost for the tech platform in a way. Unless, so because I mean, that's kind of the key. And that's, again,
and these are world experts, right? So we're bringing in a world expert set of team, like a team basically, to help with this, which is, again, invaluable. Not just the platform.
I think if anybody in the audience is familiar with Workday, does Workday do that type of thing, but in like enterprise software? Any comments from anybody in the audience, please let us know, because I think that we could say that this is kind of like this would be something very, very similar. So Dr. Hamza, so now that you have the tech platform, right? So and I think we should maybe talk about, just give it like a quick snapshot of all the different components, because again, some people may not be familiar. Like, you had the the patient education part, and they all tie in. They all have a value. Can you just give an overview?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So on the tech side, right, we have the Juno EMR that's used by just under 400 clinics across Canada, 3,000 practitioners, and about almost 3 million patient charts in Canada. And then we have ClinicAid, which is the billing solution that integrates into Juno or can be standalone as well. And then we have LiveCare, which is a standalone telemedicine component that we have an offering. And we have Snap Clarity, which is our amazing mental health app and service that people can download, use, get a dashboard, find out what's wrong, as well as connect to one of the therapists across the country. Right now it's in Canada. We expect to expand it right across North America and internationally going forward. So that's going to be a massive expansion for us, I think, and we're pretty excited about that. And again, IDEA is going to help on that aspect of it. And because and then we have Benchmark on the US side as well, the Benchmark Technologies, again, the AI automation and the different tools, and another 5.5 million patient charts, and another 1,000 practitioners. And then on top of all of that, and then IMD, obviously the patient education tool, that's award-winning and world-class, that works with every single one of our companies. But because we're able to do all that, and we own the clinics, and we have these practitioners, and we have the ecosystems, and we own everything ourselves, we're not relying on any third-party software and so on. We are able to offer enterprise solution now to insurers, the largest insurers and the largest corporations, for a one-stop shop. Basically one vendor for the first time ever, where they can get everything from mental health to physical health to primary care to specialist care to rehab, public and private, for their employees or their customers, without having multiple vendors. And that's, again, unheard of in the space. And we should see like a huge growth in that division for us in 2021 here. So we're really excited about that too. That's only scratching the surface. I could go on for another 2 hours, Jeff. So I'm thinking I'll wait for you to ask me a question, because otherwise.
Today we're gonna kind of keep it very, very, very short, because I know you're on a tight schedule. We're gonna come back in January, but I want to kind of ask you one key thing is, there is the healthcare space is heating up, right? So you have kind of, you have the teledocs, and you have companies that, you have the 1MDs, what is it, 1MD or so companies that are doing like, they're focused purely on, like, let's call it the roll up of clinics, all these areas. So I think the key differentiator for cloud is really this tech platform. In addition, so you really have that turnkey solution. And I would say that having this massive tech platform also makes the company a lot more attractive down the road for, again, like I always like to bring in the Amazon of the world and people, because tech companies, they see the value of the technology side as being useful in helping scale a business like yours.
Yeah, so I'll kind of go back to something that I think is really, really important, right? Is that we've been doing this for years, actually decades, and we've never had to pivot our story. We've always talked about this. We went into, the creation of CloudMD 3 years ago as a public entity with the mission statement that still sticks to today, right? We said the whole idea of everything we do is is totally disrupting the way healthcare is delivered, a patient-centric model. Everything circles around the patient, using technology to connect to that patient and we own the full ecosystem so that we can provide a seamless, intuitive, efficient way of kind of a team-based care for that patient to get better outcomes. We said that from day one. We never said COVID or whatever. I mean, we've said this from day one, that this is the future of healthcare. And now you're starting to see all companies, including the biggest companies, and including, you know, Teladoc and some other ones, shifting into that same idea of a whole person care, the ecosystem, providing the, you know, the combination of virtual with, you know, virtual triaging with the physical aspects of it and so on. So everybody's shifting to that. We've always said that that was going to be the way that the world is going. But because we did this from the beginning, every single one of our puzzle pieces, every single one of our acquisitions for the last, you know, 2-3 years has been with that in mind. And so it really helped us grow to a point now where we're ready to take off. That was just a platform. We were just creating the platform for the rocket ship, if you want to use an analogy there, the puzzle pieces basically.
We use that analogy a lot, if you notice, the rocket
There
ship.
you go. Yeah, so we were putting the puzzle pieces together for that platform. And we're, you know, we're pretty much there now. We're able to kind of see the fruits of our labor now going forward. And it's not lost. I mean, it's not lost that, you know, we went from a year ago, nobody in the industry, whether it's investors, institutions, or large corporations knowing who we were, to now, I think everybody's aware of what we're doing. And again, I don't think it's any secret kind of what we're doing and where we're going. So we're extremely excited, and we think 2021 is going to, I mean, 2020 was a crazy year for the company for sure. And we think 2021 will be a transformational year for the company.
Okay, so 21. Okay, so now you have basically the platform, everything is you have the platform in place, right? So 21. So I think the story right now is, okay, what is going to happen in 2021? So let's kind of jump into some questions. Speaking of which, enterprise. I think Dawn wants you to talk about enterprise. Is enterprise going to be? Are we going to be seeing some news flow on that front?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was the reason we put all those puzzle pieces together, from medical confidence to IMD to Refunction to Humanacare. I'm probably going to miss some because we've been moving so quickly here. But the key thing is that we have those puzzle pieces together, and now we can start announcing these large, and again, enterprise, the great thing about it is when you get it, you tend to get, you know, 7-figure deals per year, multi-year, right? For each one aspect of delivery. So that might be only for mental health. There might be another contract for physical rehab, another one for short-term stressors, another one for triaging. And so the great thing about us is that we're able to provide a package solution to these companies. So we'll be able to kind of hopefully start announcing these bigger deals, multi-year deals, and so on, which is great.
Okay. Let's see. We got questions about. So we got questions about the what is it? Let me see. A bunch of them came in right now. Let me see if I can pull up the. This is regarding the mental health agreement with the Canadian government, what you're doing there.
The Mental Health Commission and so on. Yeah, partly with IMD. Yeah. Yeah, one thing you're going to see is, remember, all these companies were extremely successful on their own. You have to remember that. But they were private companies, so you never heard of them. You never heard of the stuff they were doing and who they're working with, some of the biggest names in the industry in the world. So think about that, is that each one of these has news flow on their own, and they're tied to some of the biggest organizations and government agencies there are. And now as a public company, we're able to not only extend their relationship with those corporations, or, you know, cross-sell basically, but we are able to announce these things as well. And so IMD that he's talking about there is something that was immediately accretive to our company, very synergistic immediately. We were able to add it to every single one of our platforms and our services right across the business, basically. So you're going to see tremendous growth, tremendous news flow for sure. Because, I mean, who doesn't want to teach patients or be involved in patient education? We know that with patient education, you get better outcomes, right? I mean, it's well known in the medical field that the more knowledgeable a patient is, the better they do. So who doesn't want that? That's the kind of, this should be the gold standard of patient care. The problem is nobody had time before. So we have the technology and the ability now to make it intuitive for everybody.
Okay. Yeah, and in previous videos, anybody's interested, we've spent a lot of time talking about the enterprise side and the value and all that stuff. So we have actually we got a question that's popped up on the screen, but I want to ask you. I mean, we have a question about what do you do? What are you going to be doing in Alberta and Quebec? I want to kind of ask, what's the goal for the U.S.? I mean, I know you're the U.S. is big on
I'll address this first. I'll address the Talos Maple Alberta Quebec thing. Remember what I said earlier, and what we've always said is that we are not a virtual episodic care company, period. We have no interest to be the biggest virtual walk-in clinic in Canada or the world, and neither do the bigger companies like Teladoc. They're not trying to be focusing on virtual episodic care. They're moving towards now, and we've said this from day one, about chronic disease, whole person care. Not only to get better outcomes, but it's actually where all the revenue is. 90% of the revenue are taking patients that have diabetes and heart disease and so on, and making them better, basically, versus seeing them for a cold or the flu or just a prescription refill without giving them the whole services. So that's that whole, on the ground and virtual whole ecosystem mantra that we always use, is not only is it better outcomes, but it's where all the revenue is. So we are not trying to be faster than them or get more patient acquisition and provide more episodic care, because again, there's not much money in it and it's not good outcomes, and there's a lot of pushback as well. We are doctors and practitioners by heart, and we understand kind of the future is going to be empowering the doctors and the practitioners and engaging the patients, not just providing a virtual episodic care, virtual walk-in clinic. And so when we launch in Alberta and Quebec and across the US in different areas, it's because we're able to provide that on the ground full service ecosystem in that province. Okay, so when we announce Alberta, or we announce Quebec, or we announce somewhere else in the US, it's because we have that full ecosystem available at that point.
Okay, we have a question from George. I think the question is more about like what kind of traction do you have across? I mean, I think it's kind of a general question, maybe if you want to kind of address.
Yeah, it's hard to. I would say it's hard to say that because we have so many different platforms and technologies and so on. What I would say to you is that we have incredibly low churn, incredibly low. So I mean, to even the point, if you look at Juno, which is our proprietary EMR that we started with in Canada, they have less than 1% churn basically, and they're growing at north, I think, of 30 to 40% year over year organically, right? And that's without contracts, long-term contracts, whatever. And historically, it was just from word of mouth. Even they didn't even have an outside sales team. So we have really good retention, great satisfaction rates, and that's without pressure tactics and long-term contracts and stuff that historically others have used.
Okay, I'm not sure. Did I ask? I don't think we asked this one yet, right? Mental health apps will be huge. Thoughts on partnering with Veteran Affairs Canada?
Yeah, I won't talk about any specific contracts that we may or may not do, but what I would say is he's exactly right that mental health is huge. We've said that from the beginning. If you look back, we've always said that the big driver for virtual care was always going to be mental health. We thought that until COVID hit, obviously, and it was COVID for now. But we always said mental health was going to be the big thing that pushes people to use virtual care first. Now we don't have to convince anybody. I mean, everybody understands the value of virtual care delivery and virtual triaging and virtual, mental health counseling and so on. So, that part of it, we don't have to convince anybody, but mental health and because of what's happening with COVID is a huge, huge problem. And is only a much bigger now problem because of COVID. I mean, the mental health numbers and addiction, and this is what we talk a lot about it in our company, was already a bad problem. It's exploded now across the world and across North America. But also, I think the stigma is not there anymore, and everybody wants to talk about it. And so that's why we have the ability to work with governments and government agencies and corporations who are encouraging, who want us actually to announce these deals with them, because it's in their interest as well to show that they care about their patients or their workers or their customers.
Okay, got a question. Can you elaborate on the health and wellness work between IDEA4 and first responders?
I would have to get Dr. Mather to maybe elaborate more on that program. They have a few of these different programs, including that one they just released, focusing on the mental health and the addictions and so on with regards to that program. But I would love for him to come on one of the shows sometime and just talk, for a while just on that.
Okay, so we have a question. So, the current family doctor is not using the online records. What would the process be for transferring to the cloud look like, and how will you get them to transition to using virtual?
Favorite character on The Office, so I have to give him kudos for that. Your doctor is in the minority now, luckily, and becoming more of a minority going forward. Historically, I don't blame them. It was because it was a cost to sometimes converting over to a digital format, especially if it was like a solo practitioner and so on. I'm not sure if they're working alone. The future is not that. The future are going to be group practices, hybrid clinics like ours, and technology, and basically patients having a own portal to make their own appointments and, see their records and chat securely and so on, and telemedicine. And so for your doctor, feel free to have them go to the Juno website. So go to cloudmd.ca and you can see some of our offerings, including our EMR offering. And if they're in Canada, they can use that and convert over. We make it very, very simple for them. So we try to make it very easy for them. We reduce the costs and make it so that it's easy to learn as well. So it's such an intuitive, most doctors in Canada going through medical school would have used a platform like ours. So they would have understood how to use it already. It's very, very simple and intuitive on purpose. And it would save them money as well. So again, it would save him money, him or her money as well. So again, go to our website, you can offer it and maybe ask for the Wall Street Reporter discount or something. I don't know if there is one, but
we'll have to make one. So I think that, okay, so the takeaway here is you got the platform in place so now we're waiting for 21, which is going to be the breakout year, right? This is kind of everything is kind of set up. So what can we expect to see in the coming months? Because I think this is the key thing everybody's waiting for now.
Yeah, I mean, we've done 12 transactions, 12 acquisitions in 2020. We've raised, I think, $80 million, right? And when I say that's great, but watch out for 2021, that's kind of a high bar, to kind of pass, but we're pretty comfortable with it. And so I think the key thing is bigger and better stuff, so not smaller. These are now much more transformational deals that we're doing, but also organically, we're growing incredibly fast as well. So we're already running at north of 40 million run rate, I think, with our latest acquisition. And we have 50 million in the bank. And so, we're well funded, and people have seen how we're able to use that money very efficiently to get, not just, again, we're not a roll-up play, right? So we're not just trying to get revenue or, slight EBITDA. We're actually bringing in pieces that are extremely synergistic immediately. So not only do they bring in that accretive value, but also they help every one of our other divisions increase their revenue as well. And I think that's what you're going to see in 2021. You're going to see all these, amazing standalone, profitable companies that we acquired just explode on their own as well, because of the fact that we brought all these pieces together. They're working together, and you're going to see massive growth. So I think, again, we don't give projections, Jack. I mean, we go with consensus estimates. The consensus estimates are there right now with regards to the analysts. I think they say 46 to 48. I mean, we're already north of 40, so we're pretty comfortable that we're going to be able to pass that, and we're well funded. But you're going to see transformational changes in some of the things that we are able to announce now, right? So again, from the fact that we have a platform, we're able to now announce the fruits of that labor, and they tend to be quite big with bigger names and so on. I think that's going to be really important going forward, not just because of the number, but also it legitimizes our business plan and shows that it's working. And I think it creates actually more business that comes out of it. So when one big name signs on to a company like ours, you'll see other big names follow suit kind of thing. And I think that's going to be something that's really exciting about 2021 as well. So yeah, we're just totally pumped about it, and I think we're really excited for 2021 here.
Okay, so right now, about 40 million run rate plus currently. You got so I think the big catalyst for 21 is going to be the enterprise deals, signing up 7-figure, 8-figure enterprise deals.
Yeah, so usually they're 7-figure plus
Okay.
per year, multi-year contracts for only one aspect of delivery, right? And so we're going to be able to start hopefully announcing more of those, but also just again all our other stuff that we're doing as well will show some fruits of labor.
Okay, and there is a pipeline of other acquisitions.
Massive pipeline.
Okay.
Yeah, massive pipeline of things as well. Transformational pipeline.
Transformational. You weren't using that word before, so this is
No,
big.
I wasn't.
Okay.
That's the word for today, I guess.
Okay, so basically, the takeaway is what's coming in the next, let's call it, month or so is going to be significantly bigger than what we saw in past months.
Yeah, and partly because we are able to do it, but partly because we're seeing, and we've always had this, but we've seen companies buy into our mission statements as well. They really click with what we talk about, and they want to be part of that team, that part of that family kind of going forward. And so there's value in the way we approached it on purpose, that we're able to bring other great assets, great companies on board to our ideas. And I think this will be an amazing next while.
Okay. Let's see what. Oh, so I was gonna say, like, it's almost like every you use the word puzzle piece, or we're using the word, but I think we should use the word facets of like a diamond. So every new piece you add is really like a facet, so it makes the whole diamond much more valuable and beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, probably what I would say it is a 3D puzzle, actually. So when you do a 3D puzzle, you start with the base, right, and then you build up, right. That's probably the way I would show it, is that we pretty much have the base for the most part, and now you're going to see the huge upside because there's no limit to how high you can go from that platform, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, it's actually so 40 million run rate. I mean, the market cap is pretty reasonable. I mean, compared to the peers, it's still significantly undervalued. Maybe you're trading at 50% below their valuation comps. So we're gonna have to see what's happening. So I want to kind of wrap up. We're probably gonna see you next in January. So
yeah.
So happy New Year, and let's see. To wrap up, top 3 reasons why investors should consider CloudMD today.
I would say number 1, great team. You can't buy a team like the ones we have, basically. Medical practitioners come from the medical field as well, but also great operators and have really done an amazing job up to date. And with every one of our acquisitions, we've added to that team. And that's part of our filter as well, that we look for an acquisition, is the team, because they're coming and joining us, basically. So that's number 1. I think it's untouched. Number 2, I would say that everything we've done in 2020 was to prepare for the future. So that was just the preparation and the platform, like we said, for what we're going to see now, I think, going forward, which is really important. And number 3, I would say, is that we are not unknown anymore, right? So we have a lot of eyeballs on us right now, and I think that's an exciting place to be, because we are leading the way in so much of healthcare disruption right now, and I think that's important. And we love being in the lead with regards to what we're doing, and I think it'll be interesting because of the players that are coming into the space, from again, the Amazons and the Googles and the Teladocs of the world. I mean, there's some massive companies that understand the value of the space that we're in right now, and again, we're going to look forward to continuing being leaders in that space.
I would say,
I'm not saying really quickly, Jack, I do want to thank all our investors. They've been amazing. I don't really follow all the different communities and everything else, but I know they're very active and engaged as well, which is great, because we're passionate. We're excited that they're passionate about it. It's a great story. but also you are supporting something that is looking for better outcomes for patients as well, right? I mean, the end goal is not only to make a lot of money for the investors, but really have an amazing outcome for the patients and healthcare delivery. It's a win-win-win for everybody. So we really appreciate all our investors.
I would say, look, I mean, obviously, look, we're kind of, focused on stocks, making money, all that. But the reality is, I mean, not to sound like corny or anything, but look, when somebody buys any of these, small cap growth stocks, what happens is, they're buying a stock in the open market, but that valuation that helps companies, raise capital, put it into growth, put it into, again, saving people's lives, improving healthcare. It's a whole big thing. But for now, we'll just talk about the stock. So I think cloud is a little bit like right now. It's sort of 21 is the big year. It's sort of like 20 was the booster rockets. When the rocket goes up, the booster rockets drop off, and then it breaks through that gravity to go to the moon, the Mars, and 21 is going to be the moon shot.
There you go. Sure, absolutely, or further. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be fun.
Perfect. Okay, Dr. Hamza, thank you, and I look forward to seeing you again in January.
Merry Christmas.
More good news.
Yeah.